The Sandman is hiding, he won't work his magic. What is the answer to the bill collector of rest, who has come calling on your past to account? You need an insomnia cure. Scanner shouts for just the right comatonic. Nighty night, my sleep-deprived friend, drift off to dreamland, visit us again soon.
Howdy, gang. Hey, the poet, and welcome to a very much belated insomnia cure. We're going to be talking about films that, in my opinion, would put you to sleep from 1982 to 1983. And by the way, these are all going to be considered horror films. No comedies, no dramas, nothing like that. And we're going to get to these 14 movies that I have chosen to talk about tonight that were released from 1982 to 1983. But before we get to those, I want to do a little housekeeping stuff. I want to let you know that there should be a They're All Messed Up tomorrow night starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be talking about Mary, Mary, Bloody Mary, and Strip Nude for Your Killer. And all the kills in those, because, yeah, that's what we talk about on They're All Messed Up. And I've got a few things new up on the channel. I have another My Path to Becoming a Positive Renegade, Chapter 3. Forgiveness is Key. There's an Evil Dead Chick Slasher Fest for New Year's Evil. Celluloid Trash, talking about the video Dead and Attack of the Beast Creatures. The first episode ever of Horror Mania that took place last night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, for those of you that were able to see it live. For those of you that weren't able to see it live, you can watch it on the replay. We talked about some horror films from 1896 to 1899. We've also got... there's a We Watch Movies, episode 8. It's me and Steve's first We Watch Movies of the new year. There's also a Pick Your Poison taste test where I talk about a limited edition Stranger Things Gatorade flavor upside down citrus cooler. I have a final thoughts on Stranger Things since season 5. The final season of Stranger Things dropped on New Year's Eve. We've got Billy's Black Christmas Cookies and Movie Munchies, and a whole bunch more stuff on the channel. So in case you haven't checked any of those things out yet, be sure to check those out if you so desire. Let's just start diving into these movies here. And you guys and gals might disagree with me on some or all of these. And that's okay. I mean, that's perfectly fine. These are just ones that when I was looking at the list of films that were released from 1980, or the horror films that were released in 1982 to 1983, these are the ones that jumped out at me as far as being, for me anyway, insomnia inducing. You say, the poet, it looks like My Bloody Valentine won the poll. We'll take a look here. I haven't taken a look It looks like you still got time to vote because we won't be doing that watch along until February 14th. So you got a little bit longer to vote for that. But we need a tiebreaker for the one. It says January 17th. It will actually be January 31st before I'm able to do that. But we've got a tie between The Shining and Maniac. So more people need to vote on that and give us a tiebreaker, unless you want me to do the tiebreaker. And I don't think anybody really wants me to do that because usually I just flip a coin and do that. But let's just break into this with the first film, which is the last horror film. Which, if you've seen Maniac with Joe Spinell and Caroline Monroe, you would be thinking, well, what could be wrong with this one, right? Um, well, a lot, actually. This is no Maniac, folks. Basically, Joe Spinell is playing another, office rocker nut job that is obsessed with Caroline Monroe's character, who is an actress. Um, and it says she's dying to be in his film. Oh, well, not really. I believe he's a cab driver in this, and he travels all the way to Cannes. And there was some bizarre imagery with him dressed as a vampire and all this stuff. He's obsessed with Caroline Monroe's character. He wants her to be in his film. Hey, Gory Tiger. Good to see you in here tonight. But again, it's no Maniac. Maniac is pure exploitation bonanza. The last horror film, also known as The Fanatic, is not any of these things. And I became rather bored with this film rather quickly. And I did purchase it on DVD. I have not purchased it in any other format. I don't even know if it's available on any other format. It may be one of the boutique labels may have put it out. It's possible. But I just was not impressed with this movie. Even the bizarre, you know, uh, scenes with Joe Spinell, kind of hamming it up for the camera and stuff like that didn't do it for me. Again, it's no Maniac. And yeah, Trauma did put this one out, so that might be part of it. Now, I like a fair amount of Trauma films. I ain't gonna lie, but Trauma films are not known for being like spectacular films anyway. And some people might say, well, Maniac's not a spectacular film, but Maniac's got a lot more going for it. Instead of hamming it up for the camera, Joe Spinell, you can really almost believe that he is this very unhinged person in Maniac. Um, in the last horror film, I just feel like he's just hamming it up. Somebody's sitting in front of the camera and saying, "Hey, Joe, just ham it up for the camera, do a few bizarre things, and we'll call it good. We'll call it a day, or a night, or whatever, So also, if I remember correctly, there are long stretches where really nothing goes on. And I don't even know if I don't recall anybody actually. It's like he has daydreams about killing Caroline Monroe, but I don't think she's actually killed in it. Um, and I'm not even sure if anybody is killed in this. It has been a while since I watched it, but it just didn't do it for me, folks. So that is the last horror film. Now the next one, The Slayer. I really had high hopes for The Slayer. I did. So much so that I bought it on Blu-ray. And the tagline said, "Is it the nightmare or is it the Slayer?" Um, and basically, it's the story about a woman who goes on a trip with her boyfriend, I believe, and some friends to stay at some little cabin or whatever. And basically, nothing happens for most of the movie other than she has nightmares. But nothing spectacular happens until the last maybe quarter of the film. And I'm just like, I keep waiting for something to happen, keep waiting for something to happen. And this one it doesn't fulfill any qualities that I can say, hey, this is a great horror film that you should just go out and watch it. Right. And, it's one of those that you get to feeling like, oh my, why did I spend money on this? Because I think I either got this from Amazon or I got it from one of the boutique labels. I can't remember which at this point. But Steve was like, "Why did you buy that movie? Why did you buy? Why didn't you just watch it online, or why didn't you watch it on my hard drive or whatever?" But I'm not saying in every case where he says this, he's correct. But in the case of the Slayer, I feel like he was that was justified. Not anything to write home about. Like I said, nothing really happens until the last quarter of the film, and then the Slayer makes an appearance outside of the woman's nightmares. Um, Again, there may be people that disagree with me on some of these, but I'm just like giving you my honest opinion on these particular films. Uh, all right, so give me just a minute here to get some more images here. All right, so the next one, it says it feeds on human flesh. It's called Blood Tide, folks. And this is two in a row that were done by that 21st Century, which also put out Nightmares in the Damaged Brain, which I think is a lot better film than either Blood Tide or The Slayer. Um, but Blood Tide does have James Earl Jones and Jose Ferrer in it, believe it or not, folks. And yeah, again, this one, not really anything to write home about with this movie. It has a good premise. It has a great tagline, folks. And believe it or not, on IMDb, it's got a 4.4 rating, but I don't agree with that. It's directed by Richard Jeffries. Mary Louise Weller is also in this. Martin Cove is in it. It should, have a few things going for it. But I think, based on what it's about an adventurer hunting for treasure in Greece, and he accidentally frees a monster that forces local villagers to sacrifice virgins. Now, to me, a movie that would have a better premise and a more fun premise, more interesting premise, is Humanoids from the Deep. And people probably say, oh, God, Dana, that's an awful movie. But this was another movie that really was slow to me. And, if you like monster movies, you might actually enjoy this one. But I didn't honestly get a lot out of it, folks. It does have a little blood in it and stuff like that. But again, I just feel like it's nothing really to write home about. A similar premise was Humanoids from the Deep, which is, really low budget, doesn't really have any big names in it. But I had a lot more fun with Humanoids from the Deep than I did Blood Tide. Um, the poetry say so bad they don't get rankings. So anyway, that's Blood Tide. Um, the next one, you know, I will say that I have a lot of fun, like just kind of making fun of this movie. And believe it or not, I do own this movie, and that's Boarding House. There's going to be another movie that I talk about um, that I own as well. And so sometimes I think to myself, why did you buy these? And in fact, Steve did ask me about this one, even though he had bought it. And there is I believe I thought Steve told me that there was a 3 hour version of Boarding House available. And I'm like, oh, Lord, who could what, But then Steve told me he thinks it's 2.5 hours. Boarding House has the distinction of um, gosh, and I'm forgetting his name. You guys and gals will probably. I tell you, my brain is just not good anymore. Just not good. Um, and I'm not even sure if this is his real name, but John Wintergate and his then wife, and I'm assuming she stayed his wife, Kalasu. That was her stage name. I think she was a singer. And I think she actually does sing a song or two in this. So you have a boarding house that is reopened years after some gruesome murders were committed there. And it's opened by John Wintergate, who's this weird guy who likes to sit on his desk at work in leopard underwear and do some kind of uh, I don't know, I guess meditations or something. I don't know. And at some points in times in the movie, he appears to have telekinetic powers and stuff like that. So he reopens this boarding house, and he will only let women stay there, no men. And it's kind of reminds me of Crawl Space with Klaus Kinski, because he will only rent to women as well. Um, and you see a lot of scenes of John Wintergate in the sauna or the hot tub with these supposedly lovely ladies that he has allowed to be tenants in his boarding house. They have food fights and all kinds of stuff. It's just, but most of the time, nothing really happens. And when something does happen, you get this red glowing, on the screen. And, you have a few murders, and I guess you could call them kind of bloody. But the first time I actually tried to watch this movie was way back when Steve and I were dating. And he sent me a copy of it to watch. And I just kept, honestly, I did keep falling asleep during it. Now it's something of a novelty for me now. That I think me and Steve at one time or another did a commentary for it, and all we do is basically sit there and make fun of it because it's so bad that you can't take it seriously, but it's good for a laugh. But it's also, in my opinion, good for making you go to sleep. Right? All right. So that's boarding house. All right. And folks, I do have, like I said, I do have physical copies. Jack, you say you do love a good laugh. Well, you're in good company, Jack, because I love a good laugh too, even at the expense of a bad movie. And so I like I was saying, I do have physical copies of many of these, and Steve does as well. But I was too lazy to pull all these out, so that hence me showing pictures. All right, so let's move on to the next one here. And believe it or not, folks, I do own Deadly Games, and this is not the Deadly Games Crazy Santa Claus movie. This is Deadly Games with Steve Railsback on it. And, this was another one that I bought because what had happened was way back when Yahoo had auctions, and I know there's a lot of you that tell me, Dana, I don't even remember Yahoo having auctions, but they did have auctions. Yes, to Poet, Boarding House was shot on video. I think it's reported to be the first shot on video film ever made. Now, I can't confirm that 100%, but that's usually what it's uh, touted as the first shot on video film. But it was also a shot on video film that was blown up to 35 millimeter with not very good results, folks. You definitely don't want to blow up a shot on video film to 35 millimeter. No. Jack, are you talking about Boarding House? Yeah, it's weird sometimes the ones that you can find on video, or I mean find on YouTube, and other things you can't find it on YouTube, and you would think that something like Boarding House you could find on YouTube. um in fact, let me do y'all a solid here. Let me check on something here, because there may be, what's that pop-up will put coming up there. Surprisingly enough, this one got 3.8. Oh man. Okay. But if you can get the Fossum app on your TV, if you have a smart TV, Jack, it is available on the Fossum app for free. It's also apparently it's available on Tubi as well, so you could watch it either on the Fossum app or Tubi for free. If you wanted to check it out. Now, Deadly Games. This one, okay, so let me get back to how I first experienced Deadly Games. You're very welcome, Jack. I always like to, let y'all know if y'all are interested in watching any of these movies where you can find them at. For free, because I just don't want people to have to spend their hard-earned money if it's not something that they're going to watch multiple times. And I also don't want you to fall into the same traps I have of buying something just because it sounds good and it turns out to be not so hot. But Deadly Games, I first was introduced to Deadly Games in the days when the Yahoo auctions were available. And there was a seller called Bloodwave DVD, and they were doing something that they shouldn't have by putting movies on discs. They were probably transferring them from a VHS to DVD-Rs, and they would sell them for like $6 a piece or something like that. And so, or put them on the Yahoo auctions for $6 a piece. And I always ended up winning them, and I would get multiple ones from this person. So Deadly Games was the one that I read up on, and it sounded interesting. It sounded like a good slasher film, and I love a good slasher film. So Most of the DVD-Rs that I got from this person played just fine, and I probably should have complained or sent this one back and got my money back, but I didn't. I thought, well, $6. Back in the day, $6 wasn't that big of a deal, and it was just the one movie. I was never able to fully watch it. And it started off promising with a mass killer killing a woman in her kitchen. And I was like, ooh, this one, I think this one's going to be good. Okay. So fast forward years later, one of the, in fact, let me see if I can pull this one off my shelf because I was thinking that one of, yeah, Arrow Video put this one out, folks. And it's got cool cover art. The Arrow release does have cool cover art on it, right? And so Steve Railsback is in this, and a little bit before that, he was in 1976 Helter Skelter playing Charles Manson. And I forever cannot look at Steve Railsback ever again without thinking Charles Manson, because he did such a good job playing that part. I mean, it made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. I'll tell you, and gave me goosebumps. So in this movie, he plays a disturbed Vietnam vet. And this is supposed to be a tale of infidelity, madness, and murder. And it's from writer-director Scott Mansfield. So tell me if you don't think this sounds like the makings of a good slasher. A mass maniac with a penchant for a monster-themed board game is playing his own twisted game with the women of a small American town. Each time the dice is rolled, another victim meets a grisly end, returning home to mourn the death of her murdered sister. Keegan befriends local cop Roger and reclusive cinema projectionist Billy, Steve Railsback's character, but soon finds herself in the killer sights. To me, that sounds like the makings of a great slasher film. It was originally entitled Who Fell Asleep. It's supposedly an intriguing early 80s slasher oddity, which benefits from focusing as much on the development of its female led cast as it does on its scenes of stalking and slashing. So when Arrow put it out, that was the first time it was ever available on disc. Okay. But here's the problem that I have with this film. It starts out promising with that early kill, and you're thinking, ooh, I'm in for a good slasher or a decent slasher. But to me, you don't really have anything the rest of the time. You may have one slightly unsettling scene or two slightly unsettling scenes, but for the most part, nothing really happens, and it just seems like a mishmash mess to me. It seems like one of those films that they didn't really know what they wanted to do with this film, and I was left. I don't have to have everything tied up all nice and neat with a big red bow at the end of a slasher film, especially. But I was so confused. Very extremely confused by this. And maybe this was just me. I couldn't figure out, okay, am I supposed to think that this person's the killer, that person's the killer? What is going on here? It just got too confusing for me. Hey, Uncle Bill. Now, you do know I'm talking about like Deadly Games from 1982, right, Uncle Bill? And not the 1989 Deadly Games with the crazy Santa Claus killer. Um, I tried to like this. I've tried to like this for years, Uncle Bill. I really, really have. So much so that because I didn't get to watch all of it early on due to a faulty disc, when Errol put it out, I thought I'm getting it. You know, you say, yeah, it sucks. So I'm not alone. I'm not alone in that sentiment, I guess. Um, so that's Deadly Games, folks. Um, so let's move on to the next one. And if CK's around, he's going to get me. And Uncle Bill might get me for this one. But gang, this is another one that I have tried and tried and tried to watch multiple times and keep falling asleep. And that's The Forest, folks. Again, this one looks like it would be great. It looks like the makings of a great slasher film. It's got that great, you say shoot, now shit. I mean, honestly, Uncle Bill, I have tried to watch this multiple times. I own it. It is on my shelf over there. But every time I fall asleep. And to me, this is another example of a film that I don't think they knew what to do with it. Ah, I beg to differ. Like, Uncle Bill, this thing is Sominex quality. I mean, really. It's Sominex level, movie making. I don't know what in the hell they wanted to do with this movie. Because does it want to be a slasher movie? Does it want to be a ghost movie? I don't know. I have no idea. No, I don't think I want to watch this on cocaine. I don't think I want to watch anything on cocaine. I want to stay away from cocaine, folks. Of course, watching it on cocaine might speed it up a little bit because this thing seems like it takes forever, and I don't think it's even a very long movie. So you have these people going on a camping trip, and you have these ghost kids, and you have their crazy dad that I guess killed them or didn't keep them from getting killed. I don't know, but like nothing happens in this movie. I mean, nothing that I could see. And I've tried to watch it multiple times. I don't even know why the hell this thing's rated R. Unless I can't remember if it had a lot of cursing in it or sex in it, nudity. It's Uncle Will, you said, look, it's got ghost kids, cannibalism. What more do you want? Well, I don't recall seeing the cannibalism. Did the dad eat the kids or what? I mean, yeah, it does. I mean, stuff happens in Terror at 10 Killer. Let me tell you something about Terror at 10 Killer, though, Uncle Bill. Terror at 10 Killer is one of those that's so bad it's good. It's so crazy it's good. You can sit there and you can laugh at it, and there are some kills thrown in. I can't even, I can't even laugh at the forest. I don't have any fun with it. He eats folks. Well, maybe I keep falling asleep before it gets to the eating of people. Um, okay, well, Terror-10 killers may be celluloid trash, like I talk about on one of my other streams. But, if anybody watches the forest, if anybody can make it through the forest, and you can tell me that something interesting happens in this movie, I will give it another go. I paid money for it. I need to try to watch it again. Okay. Maybe my thoughts will change, but right now, this thing is a snooze fest to me. Um, just utter snooze fest. I've got one more day of vacation before I have to go back to work, so maybe I'll give the forest another try. You think I should revisit an Uncle Bill? Well, I'll make a deal with you. I'll give it another try. But right now, it's coma inducing. Um, but all right, so let's go to the next one, which is Trick or Treats. When Halloween Night Stopped Being Fun. Now, this is not the one from 86. It's not Trick or Treat from 1986. It's not Trick or Treat from Trick or Treat, I should say, from later on down the road. This is Trick or Treats from 1982. I was fooled into thinking that this was going to be a fun, bloody, kind of creepy horror movie. Okay. No, it's not any of those things. I mean, look at that image on the poster. It looks like it would be fantastic. Um, and I could be wrong, but it seems like maybe one of the boutique labels might have put this one out, but perhaps I'm wrong on that. But this has Peter Jason in it, who just looks like your regular businessman. But his wife wants to get rid of him um, so that she can be with this other guy. You talking about Trick or Treats being killer? Uncle Bill, come on. Like, I tried to watch this one a long time ago. Um, this one got a 3.9 on IMDb, folks. I wish to goodness, stupid thing will quit coming up on there. So, this was directed by Gary Graver, too, which he had something to do, and I'm forgetting what the horror movie was that he worked on. That I thought was very good. So you would think maybe this would be promising, right? And his son plays the rather obnoxious kid in this. And this has Steve Railsback in it too, and Carrie Snodgrass and David Carradine, which Carrie Snodgrass plays the wife of Peter Jason, and she calls the men in the white coats to come get her husband, and there's nothing wrong with him, so she can marry David Carradine. And years later, Peter Jason breaks out of the loony bin and wants to go back home, and you're left thinking that he's going to kill a bunch of people on his way to get back to his son, and all that. But nothing really happens in this movie. You say best thing you've seen in years, Uncle Bill. I wonder. I wonder about that. But again, this is another one that has a great tagline. It has a great poster, great cover art, great plot description. But then you're left with nothing, basically. Like I said, it pretty much centers on a babysitter is stuck watching over a young brat on Halloween night who keeps playing vicious pranks on her. To add to her trouble, the boy's deranged father has escaped from the asylum and is planning on making a visit. Yeah, it all sounds well and good, but there's no payoff. In my opinion, literally no payoff to this movie. Okay. But if there are some of you out there that give it a try and you say, Dana, I don't know, I think you're barking up the wrong tree with that one, please let me know. All right. So now we're moving into 1983. And I've got 7 more films to share with you. And the first one is Sledgehammer, which, oh, what can I say about Sledgehammer? This one was directed by, I believe it's Ted Pryor, the Pryor brothers, folks. All right. So, no, David Pryor, sorry. Ted Pryor is his brother that stars in it. I always get them confused. And if you want to watch Sledgehammer, it is also on Fossum and Tubi. Um, this one gets the award for having the most long, drawn out shots of people walking down a path. Am I drinking out of a football, Wes? No, I am actually drinking out of my drink cozy that's a Return of the Living Dead trioxin barrel. Yeah, that's what it is. I've had this thing for a few years, but it's usually what I drink my drinks out of. I don't know if they have Fordhammer or not, Wes. Um, Jackie said David really choked doing that movie. Um, Jackie say it sounds artsy. Well, I wish I could say it's artsy. I don't think it's artsy. Um, it's a good one to make fun of. This is another one that Steve and I did a commentary for a while back. And Steve actually labeled the commentary Revenge of the Closet Kid. And the reason why he called it Revenge of the Closet Kid, in case people aren't aware, is because at the beginning of the movie, you see a mother who's a very, very bad, evil mother who's wanting to get it on with her lover, who looks like he's wearing a woman's house coat. I kid you not. I kid you not. And she locks the kid in the closet because she don't want him bothering her. Bad mother vibes all over the place. And he gets somehow some kind of entity helps him get out of the closet, and he uses a sledgehammer on mommy and her lover and kills them. And apparently his spirit still inhabits this house, where years later a group of friends, Ted Pryor, David Pryor's brother, being amongst them, comes to this house to spend the weekend. Okay. And they start getting killed off by the closet kid. So, but again, there are long stretches of time where nothing happens. And it's just almost like somebody filmed a vacation or something like that, kind of like Blood Lake, only not quite as good as Blood Lake. But it's good for a watch if you just want to make fun of it and stuff like that. But please do not consider this a serious horror movie or a serious slasher movie or anything like that. You just got to watch it for fun. If you watch it for any other reason, it's probably going to put you to sleep. Uncle Bill, you say it's the best Sledgehammer related acting since Triple A. Okay. So the next one is, I believe, by Fred Owen Ray. And normally I enjoy Fred Owen Ray films just because they're so crazy. But this one leaves something to be desired, folks. So let me bring up my image here for Scalps. Again, great poster art for this. They came out of the grave to get revenge. So, a group of archaeological students venture on Indian land for a dig. Unfortunately, they release an evil spirit who possesses one of them and starts killing the others. This one is directed and written by Fred Olen Ray. Again, it has a good premise, but I just don't feel like that there's any payoff with scalps. A lot of Fred Olen Ray's other films, I feel like there's a payoff. There's fun in it. I just remember this one just being long and drawn out, and not like Fred Olen Ray's other films. This one was also done by that 20th Century Entertainment. I'm surprised by the number of films that I'm talking about tonight. That I guess the early 80s was a prime time for this 20th Century Entertainment. You've seen this one, Jack. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it because, like I say, I'd love to hear if people liked it or if they have the same thoughts on it that I do. And I haven't seen Scalps in a while, so it could be one that maybe warrants another watch, right? But my original viewings of this, I was not impressed with it. Hey, Candace. Yeah, Jack, exactly. That's what I remember, it being kind of long and drawn out. And Fred Olen Ray's movies are not normally like that. And that's why I was expecting more from Scalps than I actually got. So, anyway, that is Scalps. And oh boy. Uncle Bill, you say, oh, Fred Olen Ray, he's like a poor man's Charles Band. In a lot of ways, he is. Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, so the next one, folks, this is another one that I thought that I was really going to enjoy because it sounded like it was going to be something that I would enjoy. And that is Blood Beat. Again, great poster art for this, folks. I hope that doesn't get me in trouble with YouTube. What she said, when I think of Fred, I want to shit. That doesn't sound like too good a thing. But Blood Beat is, believe it or not, a Christmas film, folks. And again, when I read about Blood Beat, it had a really good premise, I thought, you know. And it's not very long either. But because it's not really that great, it seems twice as long. You can watch this one on Tubi, apparently. So, a young woman accompanies her boyfriend to his family's rural Wisconsin home for Christmas, where the spirit of a Japanese samurai. Why Japanese samurai? I don't know. Japanese samurai in Wisconsin begins wreaking havoc on them. Okay, again, despite the fact that there's a Japanese samurai spirit in Wisconsin, why I don't know. This is another one that, although it's got a good premise, it looks like you're going to have a lot of blood and stuff. Nothing really happens in this film. Nothing really happens in this film. Like, you have a lot of things flying around and, dishes and things like that flying around, but not a lot of blood and guts, which is what I would expect from a movie like this. You've got a Japanese, even though it makes no sense, you've still got a Japanese samurai. Shouldn't there be like sword killings, people being beheaded and all over the place and limbs cut off and all that stuff? Jackie say it was because they had that sword. That's why there's a samurai in Wisconsin. Well, whatever floats their boat, I guess. Uncle B said, no, 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 Dana. Listen, it's a horrible movie that is like Troll 2 level bad. You can't say it's not funny as hell. Well, I don't know. I couldn't even laugh at this movie. I was just like, what? You know, what? There's too many long stretches of time where nothing happens. And with an hour and 20 something minute movie, why in the world could you not do more with this movie? You know, really. They had the sword, they had the daggone sword. Why couldn't they do more with it? Which, again, I did buy this damn thing, but I can prove it. I did buy this damn thing. I bought this thing from Vinegar Single. And it's one of those things that makes me want my damn money back. Because, like, I was fooled into thinking I was getting a pretty decent film. And that's not what I got, in my opinion. But I could keep going on and on about it, but I won't. So the next one, and I'll have to give you a little background on this next one of why I even wanted to watch it. And that's skullduggery, folks. Yes, skullduggery. The reason why, and I guess I probably shouldn't have wanted to watch this one based on what I'm going to tell you. But the reason why I ultimately wanted to watch this piece of crap is I thought this was the one. Yes, that has Michael Tuff from Prom Night on it. And it has some other Canadian actors and actresses in it. And I just thought, well, you know, I'll give this one a try. And I was sorry I did. And this one, thank goodness I haven't bought this one. You know, I think I'll stick to, again, you can watch this on Fossil or Tubi if you care to. So this is referred to in, as far as IMDb is concerned, a 1980s classic in which a game of Dungeons and Dragons is the centerpiece of a mystery. Adam happens to come from a long line of cursed men. He succumbs to the curse and he goes on a killing spree. But I could barely make it through this movie, folks. I was just so bored. It's a lot of, you know, artsy fartsy kind of pretentious, you know, people doing theater and stuff like that. And I'm not saying theater is a bad thing. I'm just saying the way it was handled in this movie was not very good. Uncle Bill, you were talking about Bloodbeat. You say it's a masterpiece in Wisconsin supernatural samurai psychic films. Possibly. You think this sounds amazing? Where do you get it? Well, like I said, you can watch it for free on Fossil Map or Tubi if you want to. But don't say I didn't warn you. And again, this may be one that maybe I need to go back and try to watch it again. It just seemed like such a chore to watch it the first time around that I don't know if I want to even go back and try. But a valuable lesson learned that just because it's got some actors or actresses from a film that you really like Prom Night, does not mean it's going to be another prom night, right? So I don't know if you can buy this thing anywhere. I don't know for sure if anybody has put it out. We'll take a look here in case anybody's serious about buying it. I'm not seeing it. Wonder why. But like I said, you can watch it for free on the Folsom app or Tubi. All right. So, moving along. Hopefully, I'll have some people agree with me on this one. But it's okay if you don't. Sorry, that's my reminder going off. Good Lord. Boogeyman 2, folks. Also directed by, I believe, I thought it was still by Uwe Lamel, but maybe I'm wrong. All right, you can stop reminding me. If you finish this, just let me know you're done. Otherwise, I'll remind you in the morning. Yes, Uwe Lamel. Well, Uwe Lamel helped direct this and write it. But this had no less than 3 directors: Bruce Pern, Uwe Lamel, and Paul Wilson. And Susanna Love, who stars in this one and the original Boogeyman, was one of the writers on this. So, okay, this is another movie, although not as well done or entertaining as Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. This is another movie that shows almost the entire first film in this one. But this is not done very well at all. It's not entertaining. It doesn't have any kind of garbage day lines or any, and it doesn't have anybody like Eric Freeman in it, folks. So this one just falls flat. I love the first Boogeyman, and that's all I ever need to see, because you're going to get most of that in Boogeyman 2, as well as some stuff that you don't want to see. And Uncle Bill's screaming for Uwe Lamel. And so I would just say that watch the first Boogeyman and call it good, folks. Because the first Boogeyman has some very interesting kills, in my opinion. It's a much better made film than the regurgitation that you find in Boogeyman 2. All the best scenes from Boogeyman are in here, sandwiched between a bunch of garbage. So, definitely, in my opinion, it could be something that you could skip. But if you want to watch it, you can rent and buy it on Amazon, which, I wouldn't recommend unless you're just a glutton for punishment. So, that's about all I have to say about Boogeyman 2, folks. I can't say much more about it. All right, so we got a couple more to talk about. And the next to last one is another one that had a great creepy premise and a great tagline: I'll get you all. This is an Australian film called Death's Warmed Up. And this was a film that I heard about for a long time and always wanted to see it. And I think that Steve had it on the hard drive. And it's got a great premise. A kid is hypnotized by a scientist to kill his parents, and he ends up in a mental institution. As a grown-up, he returns to seek revenge over the scientist. But again, nothing really happens in this movie. So you can watch this one on the Fossil Map. You can watch it on Tubi. You can watch it on the Roku channel. You can watch it in all those places for free. Um, this, believe it or not, got a 4.6 on the Internet Movie Database. Hey, Hope. It's good to see you in here again. So, what you have here is a movie that, and I like a fair amount of Australian horror films as well, but this one just doesn't live up to its description. Um, it just seems like one of those things where um, they had a fantastic tagline, they had a fantastic title, they had a fantastic plot, but in the end, there was no payoff with it. And I just found myself being very bored by it because nothing, from what I can recall, nothing really happened. And again, this might be another one that I need to revisit. Um, so, uh, moving on to the final one of the night. Oops. What I meant to do. Which is one of Steve's favorite films. And I'm being totally serious about this. Doris Wishman's A Night to Dismember. Again, is that not fantastic cover art? But anybody that has watched Doris Wishman's, any of her other films, Doris Wishman was one of these filmmakers that did a lot of what Joe Bob Briggs refers to as nudie cuties. And if you don't know what a nudie cutie is, it's like, and I don't mean to talk about anybody's looks or their body or anything like that, but back in the 60s and 70s, these people like Doris Wishman that directed these nudie cuties, it was basically going to nudist camps or nudist colonies and filming people doing things, playing tennis or whatever naked. And the way Joe Bob Briggs described it, these people you didn't really want to see naked. So at some point in time, Doris Wishman decided to try her hand at horror films or slasher films in particular. And this had Samantha Fox in it, at least part of the time, playing the main character. And Samantha Fox was in some adult films, I believe. So basic plot for this: a woman from a cursed family is released from a mental facility, and soon dismembered corpses start turning up. You do get dismembered corpses, folks. I ain't even gonna lie about that. But you don't get much else. There's not a halfway decent story. Honestly, I didn't care enough about anybody in this film. I just would have rather seen these people, instead of this dragging on. I would have rather, they killed the people off fast, and so this is not rated. It's only an hour and 9 minutes, but it seems to go on for a lot longer than an hour and 9 minutes, folks. And there is a version, I believe, that's a little bit longer, but it just makes you more confused than the original version. I think it's supposed to be like the director's cut, everything that Doris Wishman wanted back in there, and it just, even Steve will say it makes it more confusing and harder to watch than just watching the hour and 9 minute version. Again, if you want to watch it, you can rent or buy it on Amazon, but folks, I really wouldn't recommend it. But again, if you're a glutton for punishment, then give A Night to Dismember a try, I guess. Um, all I can say about it is that I do laugh at it a lot because it's just so awful. Um, and I think that's why Steve bought it, because it's just so awful he can sit there and make fun of it. But that is the final film that I wanted to talk about tonight on this edition of Insomnia Cure. Hopefully, I'll be back with another Insomnia Cure, covering films from 84 to 85 that are insomnia cures or sleep inducing, coma inducing. But I want to thank everybody that was in here with me tonight, keeping me company in the chat. The Poet, Gory Tiger, Jack, Uncle Bill, Candace, Hope, Wes. Hopefully, I haven't forgotten anybody in here. But I thank all of you guys and gals for being in the chat with me tonight, keeping me company as I went through these 14 films for this edition of Insomnia Cure. I hope you'll tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for They're All Messed Up, where we're going to be talking about Mary, Mary, Bloody Mary and Strip Nude for Your Killer. You have a great new year too, Jack. I hope to see you back in here for some of these other streams. And yes, definitely stay scared. That's a good thing to remind all of us horror fans about. But I'm gonna tie this up for the night because I went on for a little over an hour, and I'm glad that y'all have stayed in here with me for that amount of time. But as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday night, folks. I've got one more day of vacation, so wish me luck and wish me well that I get enough rest and feel like going back to work for a few hours on Friday and a few hours on Saturday. And I'm out of here for now, but I'll see everybody next time.